All right, Scott. Interesting start to your morning today, but once you got everything back and right and got fishing, it actually kind of worked out to the game plan you had in mind for today, right?
It did. When you fish these tournaments, you're going to have issues with equipment occasionally. It's just part of the game. Nothing to get too stressed out about. Just had to kind of figure out what I was going to do there, and kind of started back over. Didn't go back up to where I'd been fishing. Kind of stayed around here and caught some smallmouth that I had kind of as backup, and it's good to have a backup. I needed a backup today. Today was backup day, so used those up, and so looking forward to tomorrow, and I think things could get good. I think the wind's going to blow tomorrow, and it could complicate things a little bit for some guys. It's going to make some guys a little harder to run down south, or even harder coming back. So it'll make those guys a little bit shorter day. So we'll see. For me, it's just all about changing it up, being versatile. I mean, we'll see what happens. But I have some more smallmouth, and
that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, hopefully some of them are still there. A lot of guys caught them. The first couple days of the tournament. So we'll see what happens.
In terms of, because today the largemouth thing, it wasn't there. Even that first little while you fished, you could just I had that vibe. It wasn't happening, kind of a thing.
It's my assessment I think was wrong. I thought these fish were going to be coming out, doing a lot more things like that, and those areas would just get better and better every day. It's kind of the opposite, really. For some reason, I don't know if they've moved back up shallow or something, but they're in between somewhere, and they're not reloading at all. Today was non-existent out there on my good stuff, and David was out there a little bit too. I don't think he's caught much either the last couple days out there, so that deal's kind of played for the most part. So I'm gonna have to make some adjustments. If I want to win this thing, I need to go catch a big bag, and I'm probably gonna have to do it somewhere else.
You ran around, after you caught some smallmouth today, you covered a lot of water. In terms of the largemouth bite, do you feel like, even though you mentioned you learned a little bit about where you think they're doing, even though you didn't catch any today, or not any that you weighed, do you still feel like you learned a lot for tomorrow that could help you out?
Oh, sure, yeah. I'm starting to see a little bit of consistent pattern with the smallmouth, and here's the deal: it's figuring out what depth they're spawning, what type of banks they're spawning on. The water's way lower this year, so things are different. Like, I've caught fish in the past, and I have some old marks where I've sight fished, and they're literally on land. So, you're having to kind of readjust and find those isolated boulders and little things that those smallmouth like to spawn on. The problem is it's hard to see.
Right.
Even though it was calm today, I had a lot of boat traffic. A lot of Saturday boats out there, so it's rocking and rolling everywhere. So it's hard to see down in that water. But again, I think the key depth I figured out. So now I can go into some areas that maybe I've seen some already and find some new ones, hopefully.
Did you find any new ones today? Because it seemed like there were a few places you'd get in and you'd catch one here, and not too far away there's another one. Did you pass on any today, I guess is what I'm getting at?
Not really, no. I caught everything I could catch today. I didn't run all my water, but I kind of felt like I needed to step it up and catch what I could catch. Some of them I thought were going to be bigger, and they ended up not being as big. I thought one was over 4, and it ended up being like a 3.11, and I thought another one was solid 4, it was 3.9. So there's a little bit of some discrepancy there on the weight of those fish. So, if I can go out and get 16, 17, 18 pounds tomorrow, if I end up with a little bit of a lead, that always helps.
Well, you got a steady pace going right now. You're still piecing things together, and I think, if I was in the rest of the top 10, I'd be shaking a little bit with you in the lead. So, Scott, congrats.
Well, thank you.
Get after him tomorrow, man.
It's a blessing, and like I always say, if it's God's will for me to win, I'll win, and if it's not, I'm gonna finish exactly where I'm supposed to.
That's right. All right, Brian, little tougher day for you today. But still found some good bites. What was it like down at Ty today?
It was a lot different today. It was the first spot I pulled up to, I really thought it was going to happen, and I gave it 2 hours, and it was like dead. There was a lot of carp that moved in and rolling in the grass. It took me about 3 hours to catch my first fish, and then I caught my limit pretty quick, but the size and the bites were way down today.
What can you attribute that to?
I really don't know. The water was cleaner, there was less traffic, the wind was light, everything was right for a big, good day, and it just didn't happen.
Well, at least one of the draws about running south is the odds of you running into a bigger bite, which you did today.
Yes, I got lucky. It was looking pretty bad. I had like 10 minutes left, ran to a little spot, pulled in and caught a 5-pounder on my last cast. And that's why I'm going there, for that kind of chance of a fish, you know.
How many areas did you fish today? Do you have a ton of water to run down there?
I do.
Because it's been busy.
It's been busy. Today I hit about like eight spots, and I really only want to be fishing 3, but it was kind of scramble mode for a little bit. Yesterday, everywhere I went, I got bit. Today it wasn't like that. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe tomorrow they're going to go crazy. You know, we never know.
Well, you know, you and I talked yesterday about the weather. Tomorrow it's supposed to be the warmest day we've had yet. And I feel like those fish down there, that could get them going a little bit. Do you kind of feel the same way?
It sure could. It's what's going on down there. They just got done spawning, and they're easing their way out to feed. If you run into a little group that's ready to feed, you could get well. But any day it could be the whole system
sure,
down
it could
there.
just like a switch turn
Yep.
on. The only bad thing about the weather tomorrow is it's supposed to blow
Yes.
a little bit. I mean, they're saying right now like 10 to 15 out of the south, which not so good if you're trying to run 60, 70 miles down there. Have you thought about that at all in terms of a game plan? I mean, obviously you'll have to leave more time to get back.
Yes.
If it actually does blow.
It's gonna blow, and it will be okay fishing, but I'm gonna have to let some time to get back. But in practice it blew south and they bit. I think wind does help a little bit down there. It could take away the top water, but you know, it could help.
Well, I mean, we'll see how it shakes out tomorrow, but if there's one spot you can bust the biggest bag of the tournament, it's probably down there. You're right on the heels of Scott. Good luck tomorrow, Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jason Manager, on a day when a lot of people struggled, I mean, you threw down 19 pounds. What's up with that?
Well, it's the area I'm fishing. There's just not a lot of pressure right now. And we practiced down there. There was 2 tournaments going on, an LCI tournament, which it's a big Father's Day deal, and like every boat ramp out here has got boats fishing, you know, so that was crazy. There was a Federation tournament. There were 3-day tournament going on, and then you had all the FLW guys, and probably 70% of the field probably went down there for a day or so and practice. So the fish have just been getting pressured a lot, and some of them are still on the beds. A lot of them are done. I've just come across an area where I think most of the fish have been post-spawn for a while.
Okay.
And they're fat. So you catch a lot of, well, you don't catch a lot. I mean, you don't get a lot of bites, but the bites that you're getting, the quality bites, are between 3 1/4 to as high as 5 pounds.
Okay.
And you'll weed in some 2 1/2s or 3s. Like today, I was trying to catch one more good one to get over 20 pounds. And then I started catching like 3, I caught a 3-4, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm just burning fish that I could use, and I'm so close to 20 pounds that let's save some of those, because you might have a day where you only catch 15 or 16, but to win this thing, I'm gonna have to catch probably 20 tomorrow, I'd imagine, so, or over 21, something like that, so.
Which is very possible down south.
Oh, it definitely is. I think there's potential, and every day I've kind of had my weight by about 11 o'clock. Which gives me a couple hours down there.
Yeah.
And I've just been kind of junking around, not really fishing. I'm fishing hard, but I'm not fishing the juice really. So I'm hoping that tomorrow you just go all out and you try to catch what you can catch and don't worry about burning anything. And maybe I'll get a few more of those bigger bites that'll put me over the top to give me a chance. It's 2 20-pound bags like Scott has up on the north end. I mean, if he can keep that going, that's incredible. So it'll be tough to beat that. But I think with some of these other guys, like Brian, he had a really good day down there, 20.5, and then he had a day where he had like 14 or 15. So, I feel like my consistency should put me real close, but it's going to be hard to beat a guy who's catching 20 pounds a day. It's be tough.
Well, yeah, without a really big bag like you're talking about. The spot you're saying, the juice. Is that something you found in practice, or you find during the tournament?
Yeah, it was. Well, I found a lot of it in the tournament. A lot of this. There's multiple places that are the juice. There's several areas. I'm basically fishing stretches of milfoil where I found some hard stuff, like rock cover that's kind of mixed in different areas, and scattered milfoil. There'll be some lay down wood. Just different things that I'll come across and you'll catch a fish on, but. I think it's more the area. There's a lot of tournaments that are held down there, and there's a lot of fish in the area that I'm at. So, and again, I think they're in the right stage. They're fat. They're eating a lot, and they're definitely quality fish to give you a top 5, that kind of deal. So
We don't need to go too in depth into baits, but are you using kind of some of the normal stuff we see from Ty, like punching stuff, a frog, a jig, a chatterbait?
I'm catching it. I mean, I've caught a couple fish that I haven't weighed. There's a little spider there checking us out. I'm catching some fish that I haven't weighed on a frog, which you'd think you'd catch some weighing fish on it. I had some bites in practice that were good bites, but I haven't been able to come across that, which I still think there's a possibility for that. But I'm flipping a lot, and I am doing a couple things that are helping me, because there's been guys that have come into the area.
Sure.
Both days they popped in. Now, today I didn't have a lot of pressure, but the first couple days I've had competitors in and out, and I saw like one fish caught by a competitor in my area. So I feel like what I've done, the adjustments that I've made, and a lot of it has to do with the pressure. I really knew in practice, but not getting the typical amount of bites that you usually get in Thai, that I needed to make some adjustments, but I know the fish live there. So so that's what I'm doing. I've got a few things that tomorrow I'll shed more light on it, but there's definitely a few things that I've done that have helped me get more bites down there than probably a lot of the other guys who've been down there.
Well, man, it sounds like you're getting dialed in. You're definitely one of the more consistent guys from down south, and who knows what'll happen tomorrow, but go get them, Jason.
I appreciate it. Thank you.